Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I want to talk with you guys for a little while today about glute training and what actually are the most effective exercises and efficient exercises to actually develop your glutes. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Let's work on a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. All right, so why does this even matter? Well, glute training matters for everybody, both people who are sports-oriented, power-oriented, as well as people who are chasing aesthetics, and here's why. Most women are obviously doing tons of butt work, booty work, glute work, whatever they want to call it. They're always trying to tone and develop their butt in the gym, and they often go about it in very, very inefficient and almost comical ways. Why? Because they simply don't know any better, and because it's really simpler than it's been made out to be. The glute is actually a very large but very simple muscle. But people have always put out silly butt blasting programs and stuff trying to target women for years. Now with men, this is also an important topic, even for those who are just trying to get into shape. And why? You guys ever looked at studies on women of what part of the body they notice first in a man? Anybody? You think it's the arms or chest? I'm not saying they don't notice those things. They notice your butt first. It is the single most common part of the male physique that women notice and assess first when they look at a man's body. Your glute, your butt. It matters. Matters a lot. And even for gay dudes, a lot of gay dudes. What do you think other gay dudes notice? Your butt's important. So if you're just trying to look good or look sexier, glutes are insanely important. What about for athletes? One of the most important muscles in the body, one of the single most important muscles in the body for generating power and speed through your entire body. Glutes affect how hard you can kick, how high you can jump. They even affect how hard you can punch or push because they get engaged directly. They're a powerhouse in the body. Weak glutes equals usually a weak person when it comes to a contact sport of any type. Tremendously important muscle. Now, you always see people trying to do silly things, blasting things to isolate their glutes, whether it's these little cable things where they're kicking behind them and doing stuff like that, or they do really, really lightweight glute bridges. The reality is the most important and best exercises for developing your glutes, completely developing them, are none of these things. Now, some of this is really simple, and this is going to be very simple. Anyone who looks at basic anatomy, if you want to develop your biceps, how do you go about doing it? Do you sit around and go to a cable and put 5 pounds on a cable and come up with 7 different angles to develop your biceps? Is that really going to be your primary method? Do you get out rubber bands and do 100 rep sets with rubber bands trying to tone your biceps? No. If you're really trying to develop your biceps quickly and efficiently, you're going to do heavy weighted chin-ups, and you're going to grab a barbell and you're going to do strict barbell curls. You might even do some cheat curls, but you're probably going to be better doing some strict barbell curls. And maybe, if you throw in on top of that some dumbbell curls to maybe work it slightly different than the other exercises did. You know, there's something to be said for incline curls and getting a stretch reflex. Those are all simple, basic exercises, and you're going to use a moderately heavy, challenging weight. You're probably not going to use for your primary exercises to develop those biceps light weights that you do 30 or 40 reps with, are you? Probably not. You're probably going to stick somewhere between 5 and 15 reps. Pretty fair statement. Somewhere in that range is going to be almost all of your work. Why would people think the glutes are any different? Big, heavy compound movements with moderately heavy weight that you can do between 5 and 15 reps with. What exercises work the glutes most effectively? Deadlifts. Deadlifts are one of the best exercises for developing the glutes, particularly when you do them directly, anything off the floor. In fact, pretty much any exercise that makes you go down to the floor to lift a weight is going to help develop your glutes. Obviously, any form of deadlift, conventional, sumo, whatever, it's going to work the glutes very, very effectively. How about a power clean? Yeah, that'll do it too. A little more complicated than most people want to do. Power cleans will work them though. You can build massive glutes doing power cleans, Olympic lifts, things like that. How about deficit deadlifts? Even more so, because again, pulling the weight from the floor is what the glutes excel at really, really well. And if you can increase that range of motion and pull even further off the floor with a deficit deadlift, it will generally give you even better glute development if they're lagging. Absolutely tremendous. How about even something like a pendlay row? Think about it. Your glutes get engaged, stabilizing the weight, pulling from the floor on anything you do. So even a pendlay row is going to help a little bit, although that wouldn't be my go-to exercise. But you're getting now to the point of doing little extra things just for a little more glute development. A pendlay row is still probably going to do more to help your glutes afterwards than doing some 30 rep butt blasting thing with a cable. Right? common sense with some of that. But yeah, for people who really have lagging glutes, deficit deadlifts, if you can do them safely, are the king. They're going to be amazing, and anything to where you pull from the floor is going to be a tremendous glute builder. How about squats? People always say, well, what type of squat? Any type of squat. The deeper the better. It doesn't matter whether it's a high bar squat, a low bar squat, even a front squat. The glutes are a primary mover in all of those exercises, and the deeper you go, the more the glutes get engaged. So how deep do you need to go? As deep as your hips will let you. Some people can't really go below parallel just due to their mobility, but you know what you find? Some people are limited in their mobility because of the stance that they do. Because some people's hip structures, you always get that. People will say, well, this person can't squat deep because of their hip structure or whatever. Well, that's true. We'll quit having them do a low bar squat. Put that person into a front squat or a high bar squat, an Olympic squat, and then come back and tell me that their hips won't let them go that low. Failing that, put some lifting shoes on them with a little bit of an elevated heel. You can get decent squat shoes for $50-$60. If you have lagging glutes, and they're really important to you, and they should be if your goals are to develop them, particularly women out there. A lot of women invest a lot of money in their workout clothing. You might as well get some decent shoes to squat in to go with it. It's going to help you with your glutes because it's going to let you go a little deeper if your hip structure won't allow it. Learn to do Olympic squats with those shoes on, or a front squat with those shoes on, and you're going to be able to go deep. And the deeper you go, the more your glutes get developed. And preferably the full squat, a full ass to grass squat, 3 or 4 inches below parallel is going to give you the best possible glute development. Because the deeper the stretch, the better. That is generally what you would need in your routine. If you're doing deep squats and you're doing deadlifts and you're adding progressive overload, you're getting stronger on it, you're adding weight regularly, you're going to get tremendous glute development out of it. And if that fails, some people will be like, well, I'm still not getting any real glute development. I'm improving on all of those. I need a little more. And this could also apply to athletes. Certain athletes are like, well, my glutes are still a weak link for me. My coach said they are. What should I do? I'm doing those things. Or the girl who says, I'm doing all those things and my butt's just not developing the way that I want it fast enough. Is there anything else I can do? And that's where I'm going to say something like a glute bridge comes in. I'm not a big fan of the glute bridges because I think the others for 95% of people are going to be enough. But there's always going to be that one person who just genetically has no ass. We all know that person. And even though they're going to get some development, they're going to get a lot of development from doing those exercises. Some people, just due to their genetics, just have no ass. And even though they started getting a little bit, they've added an inch or two doing those other exercises, they need more. Well, a glute bridge with a barbell is a good way to do it. In fact, for someone who's really lagging and they're doing everything else right, they've done deficit deadlifts, they're doing ass to grass squats with their squat shoes on. They've added 100 pounds to each of them since they started doing them heavier, right? And they're still not where they want to be. That's where the glute bridge comes in. But you know what? Doing little lightweight sissy glute bridges doesn't work either. The glutes are very powerful, strong muscles, and they need to be challenged with heavy weight if you want to develop them. You're not going to see that with these butt blasting things. If you really want to challenge your glutes, you've done these other things, do some heavy ones with a barbell. And generally, they're going to need to be heavy enough. You might need to lay a pad across your hips so that the bar doesn't dig into it. Because, I've seen women doing these with over 200 pounds trying to get that extra glute development. Full range of motion glute bridges. And there's tutorials online for that. But they're effective for that for a lagging glute. Once you're doing everything else, if you still need more, glute bridges. And how much weight should you use? A weight that challenges you with about 8 to 10 reps. Maybe as high as 12, but glutes tend to work pretty well with those moderate rep ranges. Staying around 8 to 10 reps is probably for most people going to give them the best glute development just due to the nature of the muscle. It's a powerhouse. It needs to be challenged with moderately heavy weight if you really want to develop it, if it's just lagging and you're not getting them where you want them. So, I would consider working up in that range, 8, 10 rep sets with glute bridges. Again, if you're doing the other stuff. But I think for most of you, the deficit deadlift and the deep squats are going to handle glute development if it's lagging. But for some people, the glute bridges might be necessary. And maybe not because they're lagging so much as you realize that for whatever your sport might be, that you really want more glute development, that it's going to give you an extra added benefit. Or you are that girl who is just genetically cursed with that pancake booty, or that dude with pancake booty. A lot of dudes have that problem. A lot of guys who start out real skinny, they have that pancake butt. And, they want women to notice their butt. And I can understand that because women do notice your butt and they're going to notice your lack of a butt too. unfortunately, it will be noted. That's more important than your arms sometimes for attracting a girl. It's funny, or to get their attention at least. As funny as that sounds, a lot of guys are like, "What? Really? No, it's true, man. There have been surveys on it. Psychology surveys. Women notice your butt." So yeah, you're that person and you really want that extra advantage there, consider the glute bridge. I don't personally do them because I'm genetically gifted with an enormous butt no matter what. And I deadlift heavy. I deadlift heavy 2 or 3 times a week. So it's not a problem for me, but for a lot of people it is. And so this is one of those things you just have to assess for yourself where your weakness is at and address them. And honestly, what most people are going to find if they're lagging on a lot of their other exercises, some of their big heavy movements, if they actually take the time to do some of these other things to improve their glutes, they're going to find that some of their other exercises will actually improve. Because you have to remember, a lot of your big movements, even a bench press, can be, even when you're staying perfectly still and using a little leg drive, a little hip drive on it, you can get more power out of it if you have a stronger glutes. They actually carry over to a lot of other things. I mean, again, glutes will actually improve even punching power. They improve kicking power. They have a lot of benefits to develop. So, if you really have lagging glutes and you're doing all those other things, you might want to really consider the glute bridge. And I feel almost funny saying that because I don't ever do them. I don't have a need for them. But everything is not about me. Everything is not about each individual YouTuber putting out information. It's about trying to give you guys the information you need to reach your goals. And unfortunately, pancake booty is a serious genetic disorder. But you know what? There is a cure for pancake booty. It's called the deficit deadlift, the full squat, and the glute bridge, all done with moderately heavy weights and progressive overload. That is the cure for pancake booty, or as my girlfriend calls it, white girl booty, because she suffered from it, and we've made a lot of headway there. And she's still wanting more. She's like, I still need another inch to my butt. And we've been working on that a lot. And you guys, a lot of people have noticed that over time in her training clips that are up. But we're still working on it. But there is a cure, and it just takes time. And that's the thing. Like with any other muscle, no muscle is going to come up to where you want it overnight. If you have a muscle that's lagging for you, it's just a weak point for you genetically, it's not going to fix itself in a couple months. It might take you a year or two to get it where you want it. But you will get it there eventually if you're just consistent with the right exercises and you work on improving on those exercises and getting stronger on those exercises. Eventually that muscle is going to have no choice but to continue to develop. It's going to have to keep up with what you're doing to it. And if you want stronger, more well-developed, well-rounded glutes, that's the way to do it. It's all about progressive overload with the big barbell movements. Remember, the glute is not one of those muscles that's going to isolate particularly well, and it's not one of those muscles that's going to respond to 30 rep sets of cable exercises. It's just not going to. It is a big powerhouse muscle, and you have to treat it accordingly if you really want it to develop. People try to treat glutes like they're a rotator cuff or something in the shoulder, and unfortunately it just doesn't work. It might sell some routines, it might sell some magazines, but you know what? When that doesn't work in 3 or 4 months, those people are going to come back and buy more stuff and more programs because they need new ideas because that didn't work. It's a good way to keep people in need and needing new products, these silly butt blasting routines. Reality, heavy barbell movements, that's what's going to do it. And that is your cure for pancake booty. So that's really all I have to say on that today, guys. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.